Okay, welcome guys. Just for the people that are joining now, please be aware that you are muted, but we can chat through the chat message, the chat window, so if you are having issues or something like that. And what we'll do is after each session in today's webinar, I'll pause for a moment and give anybody the opportunity to ask some questions in that chat window. So thanks for joining today in today's webinar. What we're aiming to do here is run a series of webinars focusing on Zoho CRM. This will be really trying to aim at people that are either new to the system or that have some experience in Zoho and the ecosystem. We will try and cover some basics as well as some more of the advanced features. Welcome, Scott. So we'll try and keep it as punchy as possible. I'm aware everyone has busy days, so I want to keep the presentation to under an hour if we can, with a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. So for those who don't know who I am, I think most of you I've met in some capacity along the way, but my name's Sam Daines. I've got a few of our social channels up on the screen there now. So if you're interested in more regular content relating to Zoho or relating to CRM systems and business software in general, please take the opportunity to follow us across those social channels. We do push out content on a fairly regular basis so that you can keep track of what's happening in all things business software and CRM. Okay, so what are we going to cover today, guys? There's a few things, really sort of four main sections that I want to be able to share with you this morning. So I want to cover the basics. This is really for experienced users and new users alike. What my aim to here is cover off for about sort of 10-15 minutes is just some of the real key concepts inside of Zoho CRM specifically. Sometimes these things can get overlooked or they can be forgotten about, but specifically we want to be able to master some of these basic concepts inside of the CRM in its core processes. Then we'll be able to maximize the way that we use our Zoho CRM platform. Then we're going to talk briefly about social media integration. So obviously social is a big part of business today. It's growing. Lots of people run various social accounts for their businesses. You may do some marketing across the social channels. How can we integrate these channels with our CRM system, and how can we use our social integration to drive a little bit better value through the CRM in that way? Following that, we're going to move on to a little bit more of an advanced topic inside of Zoho, but this is really where you can get some really bang for buck and some great value out of the system in general, and that's going to be talking about workflow, blueprints, and how you can do some of the automation and set some of that up in the system there. And then hopefully if we've got a little bit of time at the end, I'm just going to talk briefly about the bigger picture. I think one major thing is with the Zoho is it is a wider ecosystem, which is not always as well known as the CRM, which is the central and flagship product. But the bigger picture will allow us or bring to your attention some of the other applications that fall into the Zoho ecosystem, and whether they're going to be of use for you now or down the track. It's always great to know and have some idea about where you can scale the system and where you can go to. So that's where we're going to get into there. So what I'm going to do now is I'll close my slide deck. I'm going to actually go straight into CRM, and hopefully you should be able to follow along and see my Zoho screen there. So I want to talk to you about the basic concept of what's called a view inside of Zoho. So I'm going to come down to my leads, and I'm going to work with a list here of what's called demo leads. So as you know, and some of the experienced users, these modules will be familiar to you. If you've never seen Zoho before and this is the first time you are seeing it, then essentially Zoho breaks down its entities into these modules across the top. Leads, the one that we're going to look at or use as an example today, really is just focusing on capturing that initial point of contact that a person or organization may have with your business, so that you can grab those details and they can be moved into your sales process, into your sales funnel, and then you can start to deal with these, nurture them, follow them up. And this is really that very start point, which is the lifeblood of all business, is to be able to generate leads and effectively nurture and manage those leads through the sales life cycle and hopefully turn them into paying customers. So one of the major concepts that is in Zoho CRM, and this is the one area that I truly feel that if you can master this, then you'll go a long way to really making a lot of sense out of Zoho and really start to get some good value out of it. And that is the concept of what Zoho calls a view. And really, this is it. This is a list of information. It is a view of information based on the module that I am in. Every module will present a view to you. It's how you can see a list. It's how you can see the data that is within the view. But leveraging these views is how you can actually get some good value out of the software. So to start with, you'll notice here on the left-hand side, we have a drop-down which is presenting me with a bunch of views. Now, some of them I have created, which I can see here. Some of them are the standard ones in the system that come with the system by default. And then there are favorites with a star. So the first thing I want to show you is how do we favorite a view? So for instance, you may wish to look at something called all leads or all opportunities or all potentials or all companies, all accounts. They're all the same concept. To simply favorite one of these, there is a grey faded out star to the left of the view name. You just simply click that and then that will move this up to the top so that it becomes a favorite. And this is a great way to easily organize your information so that you can straight away start to select the things that matter to you, and you don't have to be scrolling down. As you begin to use the system more and more, lots of these views will appear. The ones that you are interested in, the ones that matter, you can favorite them and they will be at the top. Now, if you're in a multi-user environment, meaning there's more than one person using your CRM, then these favorites are unique to you as a user. They're not shared across other users. They won't see your favorites, only you will see them. So the next thing I want to talk about is this particular view that we're looking at here is not all of the leads that I have in this CRM. This is just something called demo leads that I use for showing this here. Maybe we want to see more information in this list. Maybe these names, companies, and emails and tags are not necessarily all the information I want to see. How do I add more detail? There is a small icon here at the left with a plus symbol, which is called Add Columns. I can click this and simply start to add in the additional fields that I want. For instance, perhaps I want mobile number, or perhaps I want lead source. And I can organize these simply by clicking and dragging these around. So don't feel that if you see a view here and you click save to make the changes, don't feel that if you don't see the information listed in the view that you're stuck with that. You can easily add columns as you need and move these around. A couple of other things to think about when managing a view. The number of records shown on a page. Again, by default, I believe Zoho sets this to 10, which means you're only ever going to see a total of 10 on the page before you have to click go to the next page. Now, I've got less than 10 here anyway, so it doesn't show, but if you want to see more, you can display up to 100 records in one page, and that's a common question that comes up. I want to see more, so keep in mind what you can deal with there. So what is my demo view doing, my demo leads view? The concept of a view, and I can edit this view by clicking the grey edit wording next to the lead view here. If I click this, what this is doing is specifying a set of criteria. So think of this as some selections or some criteria that I'm setting to enable me to be able to put some criteria in to limit what I see in my list. So I had an email come through actually just this morning, and this is really a great example of how to use this. Perhaps I don't want to show all of my leads. I might have thousands of leads in my system over time. Maybe I only want to show leads that have a specific status to them, or opportunities or potentials that have a specific status to them. To do that, I'm simply going to be adding criteria. So I'm choosing the field that relates to this particular module. So I could choose, in this instance, lead status. Is, meaning it equals one of the statuses that I've got in here. So for instance, I could say I only want to see leads that have the status of contacted. This is how you can really start to view that. In this particular instance, I've shown me the leads that have the source demo only. And hence, I can give my view a name that means something to me so that I know that they're, and I can create as many of these views as I want. I can also add multiple criteria. So I can click the green plus, which is sort of far out to the right here. Hopefully you can see a green plus. And I can build up multiple criteria for this particular view. So I can come down here and go, I only want to show demo leads where the status isn't junk or lost. And as you can see, I'm starting to build up relevant criteria that will make this view useful to me. So if I only wanted a view of open opportunities, I could exclude them by saying the stage is not equal to 1 or to lost. And then that would give me my in progress opportunities. This is a really key concept. And if you can understand the way you can build up this criteria, then this has a greater flow on in many areas. This, if you're talking about doing marketing campaigns, if you're talking about email marketing, if you're talking about doing surveys, these can also become your marketing lists. So there's more than just viewing the information on the screen, they're also showing a bit of detail there. I want to scroll down, I want to show you a couple of other things. Obviously you can add columns in here as well, much like I showed you directly from the view. You can add columns in there. You can also do that here if you want. A couple of other options, share with. This is important. If you create a view that's useful to other people in your team, other users of Zoho, you can simply just share this with everybody or a specific select group of users if you have a couple of users in mind, or if it's only useful for you or you're just playing around, if you select this only me option, nobody else is going to see that view, just you. This is a handy one, clone. If you've created a view and you want to create a similar another view that maybe only just has a slight variation of criteria, come into the view that's similar, click clone, and you've already started off. All you need to do is modify the criteria. And then when you're done, you simply click save. Okay, and then the criteria and the view will update and show the relevant information based on that. That's the editing views. If you want to create one from scratch, you actually come right down the bottom of the view drop-down and you click create view. That will take you straight to the same page. You give it a name, you build your criteria, you share it with the relevant users, and you go from there. You can do no harm with this, guys. So I encourage you, if you are a user of Zoho CRM and you haven't experimented with views, go and have a play around. You can't break anything. It's just really displaying the information in a way that could be useful to you. Understanding these views has a really great impact on other areas of the system, so it's worthwhile playing around with that. You've got filters. So the difference between here, and I can collapse this by clicking this small icon here, which will collapse my filter area. I can easily roll that back out by simply clicking that again. But the filters, this is an interesting option. We spoke about criteria just then, which is the ability to build up criteria in your view and affect what you see. But filters will filter the data that you see in the view. For instance, if I was to come down here and go, I want to filter what I see in the demo leads view by last name, and I want to say only show me the leads in this view where the last name is Danes, and I hit apply filter, I will see one appear. Okay, so this is not filtering everything in the system. This is only filtering what is displayed in the selected view. It's a quick way to further filter that. Once you can save a filter, you can cancel the filter and clear the data if you want to. You can build as many filters as you want. So think of a filter as further criteria that you manipulate in real time for the view there. Filtering can be a really great way if you've got lots of data showing in your view, so keeping an idea on that there. Okay, a couple other things I really want to focus on before we move on to the next section. Again, trying to keep things as punchy as possible for you guys. I want to talk about if I'm going to drill into one of these particular leads here by clicking on the name, and this has taken me to the lead detail. This area of the few fields at the top here is what Zoho calls the business card. So it's a small snapshot of fields that is showing here. Now, what if I want to change what fields are shown on the business card? Now, this is a common query I get a lot. I want to see some different fields up here because phone, I don't use phone. I only use mobile. I'm not interested in having phone. What do we do? How do we change that? You need to come over to the More button, which is indicated by the 3 dots, and you need to come down to Customize Business Card. Okay, so if you click Customize Business Card, I can add extra fields and remove fields I'm not interested in simply by clicking them and moving them to the left or to the right from the available into the selected or vice versa and save. And now my business card view is modified. So I like the business card view because it kind of gives you a real quick snapshot of the information that is in that record without having to maybe scroll down or look at the other areas. The fields that are available here can be reorganized and you can make this visible to see what you need as easy as possible. One other thing I want to show you guys before we move on to the social media section of today's webinar is I want to talk to you about a brand new feature that's coming in Zoho. Now, I have it in my CRM. You guys may not yet have it in yours, but don't worry, it's just around the corner, and it's the concept of tags. Now, we spoke about views just before. Going back here, this is building up criteria. Now, notice how when we build a criteria within a view, we have to use a field that exists within the system to build up my criteria. For instance, lead source is demo. So therefore, I have a field, and if I go back to a lead, I have a field called lead source, and it's a drop-down menu field, and I can select the options in there. In this instance, I can only select one. And that's how I'm filtering that criteria. Now, what if there was another lead source that just came across quickly and I needed to be able to get it in there? That would require me to go in and edit that lead source field through the customization option and add in a new value and then update the record. What Zoho have done is they've come up with this new concept called tags. So you can see at the top here, we've got tags across the top. I can click add a tag in here. And I can simply just start typing any particular tag that I think would be relevant for this record. This could be a classification, it could be an indicator, it could be anything. If it comes up with the wording new tag, I simply click the word new tag and it will create in real time that tag and add it in there. Now notice how I already had product A in there. If I was to go and click save here and go to another lead, so back to my view, go into a new lead and add tags, I can start typing product A and product B are now already here for me to select because they were used in another tag. So what this is allowing us to do is to create criteria and selections and categorizations for any records, not just leads. This is across all modules in the system, but I can do it in real time. So I don't just have to go ahead and use fields in here to classify my information. I can, on the fly, add classification information and have that be of use immediately. Example, let's go back to edit my demo leads. I'm going to remove this criteria here. I'm going to add a new criteria. So I'm still going to interested in things that are lead source demo, but then I can also build criteria based on tags. Now this is big. This is exciting stuff because I can now instantly start to filter my criteria and really start to build targeted lists based on tags. And I had to do zero customization. So if you haven't seen tags yet in your system, it will be coming soon. Keep an eye out for it. If you are a paid Zoho user, you will probably get an alert, and I'll make sure we send out an alert when they are rolled out. It's in beta at this point, but that's definitely something to be excited about and something that can be useful. Okay, guys, so I noticed a couple more people had jumped in. You are on mute, so if you have tried to say something I would not have heard you. Anybody, any quick questions on the basics here, feel free to type them into the chat window. If not, just please someone type all good or yes and make sure that people are still there and can hear and can see what I'm doing, just so I know that you're alive on the other end. Great, thanks, Scott. Okay, so it looks like, yep, great, thanks, Andrew. Looks like we've got a few people engaged. This is good news. Okay, guys, so we're going to move along to the next section, which is social media integration. We're running slightly over time. I do want to keep this as punchy as possible to give everybody the opportunity to keep going. So we are going to now move on to social media integration. So what can we do in the realm of social media and relation to Zoho? Now, depending on how deeply involved in social you are in your organization, may not matter on exactly what you want to achieve here, but the key thing to do initially is you need to connect your Zoho system with your social pages. So this might be your various company pages. To do this, you have to come under the setup area, under the spanner icon, and you need to come down to the channels and social, and you need to authorize your various social accounts with your Zoho CRM system. So I might connect my Twitter page, Facebook page, and so forth. Once you have added them in there, and it will also, so for instance, with your Facebook page, it will connect your own personal Facebook page, but then you will add any business pages that you have associated with that. So I can add, if I manage multiple business pages from my account, I can do that from here. So that's the first step that you need to do. You need to come into setup and you need to authenticate your social accounts with your Zoho system. One thing that is useful, if I come to a lead, again, coming to one of a lead record that I have here, and I click on the social related list on the left-hand side, I can authenticate, I can connect and associate social profiles with records inside of CRM. This could be contacts, this could be leads, this could be anything. It does do a bit of a search based on their name. Look, it's not perfect, but it will get you partway to where you want to be able to do and find that social account. When you've got the right one, you can simply click associate. And now I have a real-time connection from this lead record directly to this person's social page. And I can see their feed. I can see what they are discussing about, if they're engaging with my brand on socials. I can see that in real time. So it's bringing that connection of your social into your CRM. I can direct message them. Now, this is probably a more so something that is useful. If somebody's engaging with your social brand and you want to see that here within CRM, and then I might want to take that a little further, reach out to that person, offer them some additional information, bring them closer to my brand. This is allowing me to connect that social interface within my CRM. One more thing I want to show you on the social setting is something that was relatively new to Zoho. If I come down to my channels, automate lead generation. Now this is a cool function. I'm going to remove this and show you how I add it from scratch. What this is basically doing is allowing us to capture data from our social channels directly into Zoho CRM. For instance, if someone likes a post on my company Facebook page, I can have them automatically added in my CRM as a lead. And who is it going to be assigned to? In this instance, I'm going to choose none. If you've got a lead assignment rule, you can assign it there. I can also say if someone posts about my brand on Facebook, I can add them as a lead in here. This is powerful stuff because this allows us now to capture some information from that social account directly in my leads. Now, it's not going to grab a whole lot of information because only maybe a name is available for the person from Facebook, for instance, but it will associate their account and it will allow you to direct message that person. It gives you a path to be able to reach out to these people that are engaging with your brand on a social platform and take that relationship further. Rather than just going, okay, great, people are liking my content, people are sharing my content. What if I could systemize that a little further and really actually capture that information and potentially turn that like or that share into a paying customer? Because ultimately that's really what all that social information is about. This lead automation from a social platform allows you to do that. If I come to my Facebook page here, this is our business Facebook page, and come down and like that, it's exactly going to grab that information. So I probably want to like that as myself rather than as Ardento. I can grab that along here and have that capture that information in CRM and then reach out there. Likewise, if we choose post. So if you are on a social platform, which most of you probably are in some capacity, and in fact, I know that some of you definitely are because I see your social posts, have a play around with this and start to capture some of that data in your CRM and then follow up and take action on it. That will definitely allow you to maximize your social reach and really start to get some return on investment if you're investing in advertising or anything like that on your social channel. So that's a little bit about the social stuff, guys. I do also want to talk to you really briefly about Zoho Social, and this is something that comes in the CRM Plus product and also in the Zoho One product. I will focus on this again at the end of the webinar in about 20 minutes time. This is a complete social media management. So it allows you to be able to reach out and grab that data, and I'll talk a little bit about this. I had a question come through, which is a great question, and I could almost anticipate that. So will LinkedIn be included in social integration in the future? So the story behind LinkedIn integration, as you may or may not be aware, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. And since that occurred, LinkedIn really do now restrict third-party integration to their product because obviously Microsoft have far-reaching CRM in the form of dynamic CRM. I really want to try and limit what integrations happen with that. There is a press release from Zoho where they have been negotiating with LinkedIn and Microsoft to allow them to integrate with that. So I don't have an ETA of when or if that will be built into the future, but for the moment it is not available. Only from the point of CRM though. You can see that in Zoho Social, you can connect your LinkedIn page. So you just can't get those automated lead generation from your LinkedIn posts, unfortunately. I'd love it to be there, but unfortunately at the moment, it's not. So great question. Keep them coming. But from the Zoho Social point of view, which is allowing me to monitor my brand health, and I can set up multiple brands, and I can see the information in here. I can see all my pages. I can see my audience and whether it's in the green or the red going up or down in terms of engagement. But one important thing that I like about this is if somebody interacts with my brand, someone tweeted or followed our social page, I can immediately add that directly to CRM, or I can immediately add them as a lead or a contact and even directly engage from them. So if you've used products like Hootsuite or other social media management tools, Zoho Social is a platform that's like that. It's really just more tightly integrated with your CRM, so it starts to bring in that information. So again, something to think about if you are using social channels. How can I bring that a little closer into CRM? All right, guys, so we're sort of just on 10:30 by my time, so we're kind of about halfway through. A few people are still joining in, so welcome to the new people that have joined. You will be on mute. If you do have any issues or you wish to raise a question, you can use the chat box, and I will do my very best to address any questions as we go along and keep our webinar on time, as close to the 1 hour mark or just under as possible. All right, so we're going to move on to the third section now, guys, of our webinar. This part here is a little more in depth, so don't feel overwhelmed if what I'm showing you doesn't make immediate sense on how it's used. But This is really where you can really build some automation into your CRM and really think about how, if I'm doing things manually in my Zoho CRM, or maybe I have a business process that I want my Zoho users to follow, then using workflow and automation is the way to be able to build that business process into the product and have your users follow that through. This is really where you're unlocking and you know why I'm titling this webinar Mastering Zoho CRM, because these are the things that if you can understand and help implement in the product, you're well on your way to mastering the use of the CRM. Okay, so the first option we want to talk about is what's called a workflow rule. All workflow is done from under the setup menu, so you need to be an administrator to have access to this, and it's done under the automation section. It's the very top one. It's called workflow rules. This basically, and Zoho has a bit of a description here, allows you to perform certain automatic actions based on certain criteria. So you can send emails, you can have field updates, you can create other records and so forth. I'm going to create a new workflow rule. The first thing we need to do is select the module that that particular workflow rule will be associated with. I'm going to, in this instance, work with leads because that's what we've been showing so far. And I'm going to give it a name. So we're going to call this workflow rule lead follow-up task. Give it a description if you wish. You hit next, and you're taken to the workflow rule wizard, or the workflow rule drag and drop UI. I love this about Zoho. I've worked with many CRMs, but the layout and the ease of being able to do these types of complex workflows in a very easy process is really great. It's a real strength of Zoho, and anybody, it's completely codeless. You do not need to write any scripts or understand anything on a programmatic level. You really just need to follow the bouncing ball to build these workflow rules up. When do you want to execute this rule? So I can say I want to execute it at a particular day or time, so after or every single day or once a week if I want to, or however I would like it. But I'm in this instance going to say on a record action. So as soon as a lead is created, I want to do something, or maybe it was edited, or maybe when a particular field was updated, I want to do something. I'm going to hit next once I've chosen my when clause. Now we've got conditions. This is, do I want this to apply to every lead, or do I want it to apply to only leads that match a specific set of criteria? Okay, so I could say I only want this to affect those leads that have the source of demo. Okay, or I could be all leads. So thinking about maybe this particular rule or this particular workflow only needs to affect a certain type of record, then I can use this to do that. And then, like the view criteria, I can build up as many different criteria as I need. I'm hitting next. Now we're down to the action part. So this is what's going to happen when this particular workflow rule is executed. I can send an email. That's great. If you want to alert somebody, perhaps you want someone in your team to be aware of when something is happening, you can send an email. I can create a task, and that's what I'm going to do in this instance. I'm going to say, well, I want a follow-up task to be created when a particular lead is created. A few other things, a field update. This is brilliant. I use this all the time. When something happens in this particular record, go away and automatically update something else in the system. That's a powerful option, and that can cross modules. So something in the lead end module could go ahead and update something in the account or company module. That's a powerful tool. Webhooks, tags, I can add and remove tags, which is part of that new tag feature, so you may or may not have that yet. And custom function, which is actually really getting down into deep diving into the development side of the system. So if you're really wanting to do some advanced workflow or something that you really can't do through the normal options there, then perhaps a custom function can do that, but that's probably something you'd want to reach out to us to talk a little bit more in detail about. I'm going to create a task. I've already got one actually in here, but I'll create a new one for demo's sake. I'm going to say, what's the subject of my task? I can merge in fields. So fields that are from the module that I'm working with can be the subject of the task. So for instance, I want to just bring up the company. So it's going to say subject will be the lead company, and I'll type the words follow up. So it will say Ardento follow up, whatever the company name is. When is the due date of this task? This is another great feature. I can say on the workflow trigger date, so the time that it was executed plus 2 days. Meaning when a lead is created, I want a task to be created to follow up that will be due a maximum of 2 days afterwards. So I'm giving myself 2 days to follow up on any lead that's created. And it's happening automatically. I don't need to remember to create the task. The task will be created automatically. The status of it, so I'm going to say it's going to be not started, and I'm going to give it a high priority for whatever purpose. Priority is a bit more of a subjective field. Who is the task going to be assigned to? If I do not assign a task, it will be assigned to the record owner. So the person who creates the lead will be assigned the task. And of course, I can set things like a reminder, description, and so forth. And I hit save and associate. Okay, so let's walk through this one more time. I've created a workflow rule. When the lead is created and the source is demo only, go away and create a task that has a due date 2 days later than the day the task was created. Simple as that, guys. And then I hit save. One thing you need to be aware of is you must have the green icon over here. Okay, if this is not green, if this is gray, it will be deactivated and the rule is not going to be working. But this is a great way if you want to trial something and maybe it wasn't working or you'd want to turn it off, you can just flick it into inactive, or I can turn it active. But the important thing is to make sure you see the green light here to let you know. Scott's asked about the creating the email. So yeah, I can do that real quick for you. So what if instead of creating a task, or as well as creating a task, we wanted to create an email? So email, you can build up a lot of information here, but the question was, what does an email template look like? Yes, so we can come down here and I can select a template if I've got one in my template library, or I can go ahead and create a template. And when I create a template, it's taking me to a template editor. Zoho have done a bunch of work with their email templates within CRM lately. So if you're using an email marketing solution like MailChimp or Zoho Campaigns, you'll get a lot of the templates in the same way, a whole bunch of pre-designed libraries, or I can choose a standard sort of layout, or I can insert some HTML code that I may have. So if you want to build a pretty looking email to be sent from CRM, you can do that from within CRM itself. Okay, so I won't deep dive into this, Scott, but hopefully that kind of wets your whistle, mate, that you kind of get some sort of email template editing functionality. If you're using Zoho Campaigns, this is familiar to you. If you're using MailChimp, you can. Keeping in mind, this is the emails that would be sent from CRM, so using your email workflow. So plenty of options to create pretty and beautiful emails for your CRM system. All right, guys, we're going to keep on plowing along before we run out of time. The next thing I want to show you is Blueprints. I really like Blueprints. This is a powerful part. Again, this is taking workflow to the next level. Workflow, allowing things to happen in an automated way after a point in time. Blueprints literally let me build in an entire business process and attach it to a record. I create a new blueprint. I give it a name, lead blueprint. I'm going to choose the field. So a blueprint must use some sort of status field. So think of it like your workflow. Maybe your leads move through a particular process, or your sales processes, or even your accounts move through a particular process, and there are stages or statuses that move with that. A blueprint allows you to build out a mapping and an automation to move through those statuses rather than just allowing your users to pull a drop-down menu and select the right one, because maybe that doesn't work the way that you want. This allows buttons to be created on the screen, which make it a little more intuitive. All we are doing is basically dragging and dropping the states that we want based on the field. So in this instance, I can have, okay, I've got, contacted, as one of my first ones. So maybe we'll kind of go, okay, we're going to start, and it can go to contacted. And then we can say after contacted, it's either going to be a pre-qualified lead, and we just simply drag, or it's going to be a lost lead, and we're going to drag. So that's the states that it can go from. Starts to contacted, then it can become pre-qualified, or it can be lost. What's the transition? This is the name. This is what the button essentially is going to be, and we're going to call it contacted. And then we're going to call this one interested, meaning they are interested in my products or services. And the next one's going to be not interested. Simple. The lead's created. It can move to the contacted stage, meaning I've reached out to this person. And then from here, we can give ourselves a bit more room, but with our workflow, it's going to be as complicated as you like. I can click interested, which moves it to the pre-qualified state. They can click not interested, and it moves it to the lost lead state. It allows you to really dumb down the whole workflow and the whole business process surrounding that. Now, more cool things for you. At each particular transition state, so when a user clicks on not interested, I can, again, have things execute. So after they've clicked the button, I want to send an email, create a task, update a field. So I can build in automatic functions that when a user clicks this not interested button, immediately it's going to go ahead and do a task for me in an automated fashion. I can also say make notes, meaning I wish they need to add a note in there, and I can say, is these buttons going to be available to everybody or a specific group? And you can really get a little bit more complicated there as well. Again, once you're done with your blueprint, you can save it down the bottom. It needs to be active to be in play. And depending on the setting up of this, we should be able to come in here and type in a new lead. I'm hoping this will be about right. Notice now I've got a new transition bar has appeared. Now this can be used across any modules. I'm using leads as an example, but sky's the limit here. The user clicks the button contacted. It moves to the current state of contacted. There's my two other options, interested or not interested. Not interested forces them to enter in a note. They didn't like me. And I hit save. Note's been added automatically against that particular lead record. And notice how it's taken out that needing to manage these drop downs, manage these fields, and going around in various ways and managing them manually. It really breaks that down so that there are simple steps to follow. So blueprints are a really powerful way to be able to manage a business process within your CRM. So I encourage you, if you haven't had a look once before or brainstorm how you think you can use a blueprint, you can do that under setup, again under automation, and down to blueprint. All right, guys, we're nearly there. And a couple other things I really want to just really lightly touch on the automation side is actions, which this is just a more simplified workflow where I simply want to maybe send out an alert. When something happens in my CRM, alert somebody, send an email. That can be done using actions and alerts. So I did have a question come through from Beck about Blueprint being in the highest level subscription. That's a good question, Beck, and I believe it might be under either your CRM Plus or your Enterprise, or under the Pro edition. Let me get back to you on that one. That's a great question. So the question was, guys, just Because obviously Zoho has various subscription levels, when do blueprints come into play? And I think it might be as part of the enterprise platform. But I'll follow up and I'll finish with something exciting I want to talk to you guys about, which is Zoho One. And this is really something that everybody should consider moving to. I think it's really great value for money, and that may answer you that question. But Beck, I will get back to you on that one just to confirm. Great question. So alerts we spoke about. The last one is layouts. And again, really touching on this really quickly. I know there's a lot of information to take in, guys. We've got layouts where we can, this is actually done under the customization area. Think about layouts as perhaps I don't always want to have all the same fields showing on the screen for every record. Maybe there are different fields that need to be completed for different scenarios. Rather than having all of the fields on your screen at the same time, I can create a separate layout and have different fields display based on that layout. So perhaps this one can be, create a new layout, and we're going to call this special lead, but we're not going to have to complete something like the website field, and I'm going to remove that from the special lead, and I'm going to save it. Who gets access to it? We can say that everybody has access to that. All I want to show you here, guys, is now when I come to leads and I create a new lead, I can now have a layout at the top, which allows me to choose the type of layout. I can see that website is still available as a field on the standard layout, but if I flick to the special layout, the website field has gone. This is good because it allows you to really remove the clutter. If you've got different scenarios that mean you need to complete different pieces of data for different scenarios in your business, perhaps a layout is the way to achieve that. Cool, guys. So that covers off my section for the workflow and automation side. We're going to wrap things up very, very shortly. If anybody else has any questions, please let me know, and then I'll just really briefly talk about the last thing, which is the wider Zoho ecosystem. And then we'll wrap things up and I'll let everybody get back to their day. Okay, so Zoho in general is much bigger than just the CRM. The CRM is the central part of this ecosystem. It is the core, and it is the product in which all the other products work with. But I want you guys to really open your minds a little bit and go, well, I've got a CRM, but maybe I've got other features in my business and other things that I want to be able to achieve. And at face value, it looks like Zoho CRM can't do that or doesn't have that functionality. Zoho has about 35 other business applications that roll into its ecosystem. We have something like Zoho Social, which manages your social media side of things. We have Zoho Campaigns, which is a complete email and social media marketing tool. We have Zoho Surveys, which can be used to create surveys. We have Zoho Projects, which can be used to create and manage project life cycles, milestones, Gantt charts. We have Zoho Desk, which is a help desk system. There is a much wider range of applications. About a month ago, or a little over a month ago, Zoho announced something called Zoho One. Now, for those who have recently signed up to a Zoho Plus subscription or a recently new subscription, when your subscription is due for renewal, and we maintain and manage all of that. If you've got your subscription through Ardento, we'll help you manage this, and we will be looking to migrate everybody across to Zoho One. There are a lot of savings that can be had in this set of products. Basically now Zoho is offering their entire product suite, so every single application that they have, for one subscription price, which is around about the same price as a single CRM enterprise. So this includes recruitment, reports, social media, document signing, and a whole array of other applications, and it's all wrapped up under one subscription. I'm not going to go into too much detail now, but it's the pricing is a lot more competitive than some of their older pricing and some of their other packages. So it's a really great way to be able to get the value of all of the other Zoho applications under one cost-effective license, rather than having to buy or have all these individual subscriptions to the various bits and pieces that you like. And you actually get access to the enterprise level of these products. So it's a really great way to be able to get that. It works out to about $35 US a month is the price. So, you know, roughly, 44 or something like that Australian, and that's if you pay on an annual subscription. Happy to send that information out to anybody. Obviously, if you are already on a subscription, we need to, when your subscription renewal is up, then we will be able to look at migrating you across to Zoho One. And I've definitely got that in my sights for a couple of customers that are on Plus version of CRM or on enterprise level of the product. Okay, guys, so look, just under the hour mark there. We've covered off the basics, so hopefully we've got a little bit of info there for you. We've got the social media integration, so we've covered off a little bit there as well. We talked about workflow, and I wanted to talk to you about the bigger picture. That's about it from me, guys. I don't want to let everybody back to their day. I'll sort of open up the chat now for anybody who wishes to ask any last questions. I have recorded this webinar. We'll make it available. Thanks everybody else for attending. Keep an eye out for the any future webinars, and we'll keep being able to give a bit of value back to everybody on a regular basis. So thanks for taking the time to join. Cheers. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, absolutely, Bet. Thanks for attending, and I'll definitely give you some info about Zoho One, and we can talk a little bit about the blueprint stuff as well. Thanks for attending. Appreciate it. Scott, so you just asked a question about setting up and support of Zoho. So absolutely, like Ardento, we're a Zoho Alliance partner, so we are an authorized representative of Zoho. We sell the licensing, we manage and support that. We have a direct partner support line with Zoho. So if you are connected through us as a partner, we can liaise with Zoho on your behalf. And yes, we can offer support. That can be on an as-need basis, or we can actually scope out a project if you actually have something that you want to achieve in mind. So yeah, definitely if you are looking to be able to start using Zoho and you want to get started and you don't really know what's involved, then Matt, I'll happily give you a little bit of information about what we call a sort of a Zoho launch package, which allows us to get together and really get Zoho up and running for you as quickly as possible with the functions and features that you need. So we can definitely help you with that if need be. Yeah, any more questions? Yes, this webinar is being recorded and I will make it available to other people. So we'll definitely make sure that you've got that as well. And can you import data from Scott? Absolutely, mate. There is a raft of import utilities from direct migration from other CRMs, but yes, through the traditional, CSV, Excel imports, that is all part of the standard sort of take on, and there's a lot of import tools available to do that. And more importantly, there is export utilities as well. So if one day you don't want to use Zoho CRM anymore, you can get your data out easily. All right, guys, I think that's just about it. Looks like most people have left and there's a few people remaining. Oh, I'm sorry, Prue. Sorry to hear that you had some audio issues. Look, definitely I'll make sure that the recording is available and you can hear it again. And look, we'll be running regular webinars, so we'll go over content on a regular basis. I'll make sure you're invited to future ones as well. Apologise you had some audio issues. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.